let's take a moment to explore just exactly how they plan to run this new society of theirs. Let's hear straight from the asshole's mouth how he and his buddies plan to do so. In a document titled Fragment of a Projected Economic Decree, they briefly explain how they will run this new society. It's divided up into several articles. I'm going to most likely not read everything, but I do want to highlight a couple of points that I find specifically interesting. So Article 1 states, in the Republic there will be established a great national community. So basically that means that the entire nation will be one big happy family where we share everything and there will be no more divisions of any kind. And Article 2 states the national community consists of the following goods. And then they list a whole bunch of things. So basically this part deals with what will be considered as public goods, what will belong to the people. So they mention a few things. I think 2 points here I find very interesting. So they say that goods of enemies of the revolution. They mention the goods of enemies of the revolution. So basically, what it basically says is that anybody who is deemed as an enemy of the revolution, their possessions may be legally taken away to be used by everybody else. So if you don't agree with what we have to say, we can legally, we're just going to come and take it away by force. And then the second part that I find very interesting, second point. They mention goods whose owners neglect their cultivation. That's a fascinating thing. Cultivation, basically referring to development or use. So in other words, if someone has, let's say, a piece of land that they're not actively farming on or using it to live on, then the people have, it's within their right to take away that piece of land from the owner because he's not currently using it. And you see this very same thing in socialists and communists today, where you'll often hear them talk about if someone has 3 or 4 houses and they're not using it and they're basically being an asshole, and we have the right to come and forcefully take it away from them because someone else somewhere doesn't have a house and then you're not using it, so we're fully justified to take it away from you. Or if you have several cars, then we can come and take it away from you. So that's basically what this refers to. It's quite interesting that I think this is more than 200 years ago that this was written. So this same old thing is just stuck with us throughout the ages. Okay, so here we go. Article 3. The right of succession ab instinent or by testament is abolished. All goods currently owned by individuals will revert upon their death to the national community. All right, so basically what this means is that the concept of inheritance is abolished. So you, as a parent, you're no longer allowed to leave any of your possessions to your children, whether it's money or any other physical piece of property. You can't give them your house or anything like that. So anything that you have upon your death will be automatically taken by the people or the state. Okay, Article 4 shall be considered current owner whose children of a father today living were not called by law to the army. I am not sure exactly what that means. All right, let's move on to Article 5. Okay, so this states, every Frenchman of one or the other sex who abandons all of his goods to the fatherland and who consecrates to it his person and the work of which he is capable, is a member of the great national community. Okay, so basically anybody who gives up all their possessions and then dedicate themselves to this cause is automatically then a member of this great national community. Article 6. The elderly who have reached their 60th birthday and the infirm, if they are poor, are by rights members of the national community. Okay, so these people are automatically qualified to enter this national community or communist state. Article 7 states, are also members of the national community young people raised in national houses of education. Okay, so all right, so young people who were raised in national houses of education, they are also automatically qualified to be members of this new community. Article 8, the goods of the goods of the national community are exploited in common by all able-bodied members. Okay, so anybody who is part of this national community, they can make use of any of the public goods or the national goods available to them. Article 9. The great national community maintains all its members in an equal and honest mediocrity. It furnishes them with all they need. Okay, so once again we have this promise that anything and everything that they need will be given to them. Okay, now Article 10, this is a very interesting one. Okay, it states, the Republic invites good citizens to contribute to the success of this reform by a voluntary abandonment of their goods to the community. Now, this is an interesting thing. Right, so it says it invites good citizens to contribute. Yes, if you don't give up your possessions, I presume you're not automatically considered as a good citizen. And another part, but this is the most important part that I find the most fascinating. They say voluntary abandonment. Okay, I want you to keep this in mind. They say that basically this whole thing that they're doing is a voluntary action, right? So basically you can choose to be part of this new community or not. So you can choose to abandon your goods. It's completely voluntary. So I want you to keep this voluntary part in mind. We're going to get back to this a little bit later, or actually very soon. Okay, Article 11 states, effective, no one can be a civil or military functionary if he is not a member of said community. So basically, this means that if you don't give up your possessions, you can't be part of this new great community that they talk about. And if you don't give up your possessions, you can't hold a military or civil position. Basically, you can't be part of the state or the government. So that's quite interesting. Article 12. Let's see. So Article 12 states, the great national community is administered by local magistrates chosen by its members under the laws and under the direction of the Supreme Administration. Now, isn't that fascinating? So, like I mentioned previously, they first will talk about how we should have no more kings, no more rulers, yada, yada, yada. Yet, in their plans that they lay out, they admit that they will have leaders, such as local magistrates and the Supreme Administration. Oh my goodness, what a word, right? So that's quite an interesting word, a Supreme Administration. So here they admit that they that there will be people in charge, right? So you often hear like communists argue that, like true communism, doesn't have a state, it's just the people who govern themselves. This is complete and utter bullshit, right? I think that might be an insult to bullshit. This was written, like I mentioned, more than 200 years ago by, and these people that were like Babeuf, which we are talking about right now, they didn't consider themselves as communist. The word communist wasn't invented yet, but this is this ideology, the things that they are talking about here, is considered as the foundations of communism. So from the very get-go, we can see that they'll tell the people one thing, that they will be able to rule over themselves. Yet, behind the scenes, all the documents that they create, such as this one, clearly states that they will be in charge. The people who actually conspire to do these things, the people who actually orchestrate the revolutions, they know exactly that they want to be in charge, that there is no such thing as the people ruling over themselves. So don't be fooled by anyone telling you that, true communism is just like only people ruling themselves. Bullshit.